Hey guys, it's been a bit. I haven't really made any videos lately because I really didn't like OV61, and since I didn't like it, I had no real motivation to make videos. I was hoping this update would fix that, but hey, it's even worse. I'll start off with all the good things about this update first though. Let's go over some of the general stuff, then we'll talk about the cosmetics, because you know the cosmetics are always cool. They're introducing legendary class keys for their Radiant boxes. This key will guarantee you one unique legendary card per class. It will of course cost crystals like the other keys. Characters are getting new portraits, at least most of them. Some are the same, and some you may have already seen on the internet somewhere. It's because they got leaked somehow. I have seen both the Eevee and Leanne ones before. They also added a spray preview in the character customization menu. A small thing, but it's something I always wondered why they didn't have in the first place. There's also a few general bug fixes, pretty minor ones, but one of them is kinda big. I've been affected by it, some of you might have too. They fixed a bug that caused players to have no health bar and not appear on the scoreboard. This is very frustrating if you're a healer and you have a teammate whose health bar you can't see. They told us to go ahead and let them know on the Paladins bug thread if this bug still persists. Okay, so now for the cosmetics, I'll start with the VIP stuff first. There isn't a whole lot. Code Green Victor is on rotation this update. It's the radio guy one. Grohk is getting a legendary dance emote, Grohk Slide. Pretty funny, it rotates forever. Genos is getting a legendary weapon called Shatterstar. It has the same theme as Androxus's legendary weapon. I think this one is way cooler though, they really knocked it out of the park here. I wouldn't mind it if they kept making weapons with this theme. I think it would fit Leanne really nicely. Her rifle is already a crystal after all. As for the non-VIP stuff, there's a new box coming. It's called the Worldwide Box. This box basically has country themes in it. I'm pretty positive they said the Freedom and Samba weapons would be in this box, along with the new Comrade stuff that's coming. Makoa, Buck, Eevee, and Ying are getting Comrade weapons. They're all really cool red weapons. Victor and Andro are getting hats, and Fernando is getting an American barrier. With this update, Fernando's accessory will no longer be his helmet, it'll be his barrier. They've done this with Torv and Makoa in the past, and I think doing it for Fernando is equally as good of an idea. Also, in this box is a new epic skin. Take a look at Red Winter Tyra. Alright, I don't hold Tyra up to the level of attractiveness as a lot of the other girl characters in this game, but this skin looks damn good on her. I'd say it makes her compete pretty well. This skin comes with an accessory, body, voice pack, and spray, but no weapon, which is a first for an epic skin. Oh, and of course, go ahead, take a listen to the voice pack.
Orders received. The target will be dealt with. You can either tell me everything in bed, or spill your guts on the floor. While we're here, could you get me a drink? Of course, shaken, not stirred. I'm wanted in over 50 countries. For crimes, yes, but mostly for looking so darn good.
There's a few other cosmetics coming to the Flare box. Community chibi skins are being added to it for Ash, Buck, Sky, Torvald, and Tyra. These are adorable. I cannot wait to see what the other characters look like in this style. There are 2 announcer packs coming. These are done by 2 people from the caster. You can get these 2 for free by voting on the caster winner by November 1st, using a link that I'll put in the description below. I'm not the biggest fan of these 2 announcer packs. They're a bit difficult to listen to. Still waiting on more character announcer packs too. So that's it for cosmetic and customization stuff. The new test map will be called Triumph. What character do you guys want to see me play for the gameplay of it, by the way? I never ask. I've done Drogos and Leanne like 3 times, so let me know what you guys want to see. Alright, this is where the update gets less than awesome. I'm trying to be nice about it here, but man, this is probably my least favorite update ever. There's a ton of big steps backwards for balance here. It kind of sucks that I've gotten to the point where the first thing I think is, oh man, what did they ruin this time, when I load up the patch preview. So for general balance, the soft reveal for Stealth will have improved visual clarity, and Illuminate is having its range increased from 15 to 20. So the ranks are now 20, 40, and 60. Screw you, Shaolin. Alright, now for the character balance. Remember when they nerfed all the mobility a while back? Well, they weren't done. With this update, they want to reduce a lot of the vertical mobility, whether the character is good or not. And Roxas is getting his nether step distance reduced from 35 to 25. This is not the nerf he needs. And Roxas's time to kill is stupidly broken. I don't know if I've told you guys this or not, but Andro can kill a squishy in 0.36 seconds with 2 crits and a body. That is completely ridiculous. There is no place for CSGO time to kill in this game. It doesn't work, and it's incredibly unhealthy for the game. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't want him straight up nerfed out of viability again. I want the time to kill to be put in check, but I also want them to give him something to compensate for that, like more range so he can poke more effectively. Next is Ashe. Battering Ram will no longer grant CC immunity. So, if I may ask, have you guys ever seen anyone complain about Ashe before? Ever? Anyone? No? Nerfs like this are pointless. Don't touch a character that has nothing wrong with them. To me, this nerf is an attempt to make her other legendaries viable because they don't know how to buff them. And even though they don't know how to buff them, they're still trying to buff one again. Rally here will now make enemies affected by it receive 30% more damage instead of giving nearby allies 20% more damage. Ultimate-based legendaries will never ever be good. They don't get used anywhere near as often as standard kit ones. I feel like Battering Ram will still be the go-to, making the nerf to it even more pointless. Barrack is getting a bug fix that caused his Architectonics projectiles to travel more slowly than intended, which is good because it made the legendary pretty useless. If it's not fast, then what's the point? Bomb King is getting his Demolition legendary buffed. It will now also increase the blast radius of Grumpy Bomb by 30%. Again, I still don't see this getting picked. Why would I take this when I could have bonus damage or faster stuns? Buck is getting some bug fixes. His Deep Breath card was mitigating damage from Dragon Punch. It won't anymore. His Bounce House legendary will now be mitigated by CC reduction. I had a game where I bought Resilience for Buck and it wasn't working. It was the worst. I was still flying across the map. I kind of feel like Bounce House just really shouldn't deal any damage. The knockback is absolutely insane, and Buck is literally a free win in casuals right now. The flanks in this game right now are so poorly designed it hurts. Andro and Buck are overpowered. Xin and Lex are frustrating in lower tiered games and useless in higher tiered ones. Maeve and Eevee have been nerfed over and over again. And Skye and Talus, well, you know, they're Skye and Talus. Moving on to Cassie, some buffs are coming to her legendary cards. Impulse's damage will now be going from 300 to 350. Big Game's max damage is being increased from 5 to 10%. That's so huge, it's scary. However, Cassie's Incitement card, you know, the one that resets rolls, will now only reduce the cooldown by 2 seconds and not 4. Alright, so this is a super controversial one. A lot of people don't like this. I understand why. It's a core component of her kit. It's really what makes Cassie Cassie. It's the only way to run her. And that's the problem. It's the only way to run her. Cassie is the only character in the game that runs one legendary and one card deck all the time. The only one. It's always the same. On top of that, it is a very over-rewarding playstyle when you get past its learning curve, and it becomes very frustrating for people who have to deal with it. Cassie basically can have infinite mobility, infinite bonus damage, and infinite lifesteal, while also having very limited counterplay. The only ways to deal with a really good Cassie is to have godly tracking and aim, or to use a barrier to block her roll reset arrow, then start damaging her. But once you get her low, Cassie can just roll away again because there's a card that resets her roll at low health. The current Cassie isn't good for the game. Counterplay and more playstyles need to be promoted, and that's what this is going to do. Her other two legendaries are actually really good. It's just no one uses them because infinite mobility and bonus damage isn't something somebody can just pass up. This could also get rid of all the Cassie 1-tricks in competitive. Next to support 1-tricks, Cassie 1-tricks are the ones I see the most of, and Cassie doesn't work with every team comp. Now for Drogos. He has some bugs with his Draco skins VFX that are getting fixed. They are also putting in the missing Woohoo line. When I found out the skin didn't have a Woohoo roar, I was so sad. I am really happy they're fixing it. However, I'm not happy about these two things. Thrust's vertical distance is getting reduced by 30%. His card, Thrill of the Hunt, will now only grant 60% cooldown reduction for thrust on a killing blow instead of 100% max. Alright, so here's more of the unneeded nerfs. Drogos is good, yeah, but he has the most counters in the game. While being one of the strongest damage dealers, he's also the easiest to counter. The only reason he's getting nerfed is because Hi-Rez wants to cut down the mobility and not because he really needs it. Now for Eevee. Her soar flight speed is being reduced by 10%. Again, another unneeded nerf. Eevee isn't very good right now, both performance-wise and because of all of her bugs. Instead of buffing her and fixing her bugs, they're unfairly nerfing her movement. I don't think there is any character in this game that has been nerfed anywhere close to as many times as Eevee, and it's all because people can't hit her. Same with Maeve, who thankfully isn't being messed with this update. Fernando's card Last Stand will now have its healing threshold reduced from 60 to 50%. Up next is a pretty big one, and it's for Grohk. I didn't put this with the cosmetics earlier because I felt like it was better to put all this stuff together. Grohk is getting a visual rework. This is why he hasn't gotten a skin. They've been working on this. So now that it's done, they can give him a skin, and they said they will soon. This is a really great visual rework like the last couple ones have been. Grohk looks so much more intimidating, and that totem is badass. On top of this visual rework, they are also giving him buffs. Big buffs. Lightning Staff will now have 100 ammo instead of 75. Shock Pulse will now deal 150 damage instead of 120. To compensate for it, it will no longer slow, but I think that's a good trade-off. Healing Totem will now have its health increased from 900 to 1500. His Monolith Totem card is also getting a buff. Right now it can give a max of 400 bonus health to his totem. They're buffing that to a max of 1000. So you can have 2500 health on your totem. Its biggest weakness is that it can be destroyed easily. That's not really a weakness at all anymore. Grohk is also getting his mastery rewards with this update as well. So yeah, tons and tons of Grohk love this update. The update is named after him after all. Genos' ult will now have a 1.2 second pre-fire time instead of a 1.5 second pre-fire time. The ult basically never hits anyone, so hopefully now it will. Kinessa is getting some improvements to her carbine. The minimum accuracy is being increased from 85% to 90%, and the accuracy loss per bullet is getting decreased from 4 to 2%. Lex is getting a buff and a nerf to 2 of his legendaries. Def Hasten's bonus damage will be getting reduced from 30 to 25%, and Discovery's bonus damage will be increased from 20 to 30%. On to Makoa. This guy is finally getting some more nerfs. It's about time. Makoa is so good. So good. Probably the best character in the game. He needs this. His base health is being reduced from 4,800 to 4,500, and his Pluck legendary is getting its bonus reduced from 80 to 70%. Now the 300 HP that was taken away is getting added on to Leviathan, so if you use that, you basically never lost anything. Now, I am all for Makoa nerfs, but if I was the one doing it, I'd get rid of all the BS hooks. That's it, that's all I want done to him. I know you guys get hooked through and around stuff every day. It is the worst. I'm all for the hook being powerful, but only if it's fair at the same time. Pip will now be able to use all of his abilities during Weightless. Mobile, slowing, and healing sounds really nice. Ruckus is getting the vertical distance of aerial assault reduced from 30 to 20, only the vertical distance though. So less attack helicopter Ruckus. It's really fun to do, but a heavily armored tank probably shouldn't be flying so high. Ceres is getting some love. Restore Soul is getting its range increased from 70 to 100. Her Agony legendary is getting its stun duration increased from 1 to 1.5 seconds. Her Soul Collector legendary will now also increase her weapon damage by 2% per stack, as well as her health. Okay, so this is an attempt to make Mortal Reach not the go-to. That's why they buffed her range, so it'll still be good without it. However, Mortal Reach still lets you put out another 1000 healing, so there's still really no reason to use anything besides it. Shaolin time. Remember when I said screw Shaolin? His Run Like the Wind card will now give a max of 28% movement speed instead of 40%, and his Desert Shadow legendary will now only give 2 more seconds to stealth instead of 3. Shaolin, you know, Shaolin is just a great character all around. Fantastic character all around. And nerfing him isn't really going to hurt him all that much. Now for Terminus. Terminus is really good. I wouldn't call him broken, but he's definitely up there since he's so durable and has so much uptime. Not to mention, him plus Inara and Maldamba is ridiculous. Ridiculous! Anyway, his base health is being reduced from 4,900 to 4,500. His axe is getting its range increased by 25%. His power siphon recharge rate is being reduced by 25%. And his strength of stone card will now give a max of 4% damage reduction per stack instead of 6%. This all seems pretty fair to me. Oh boy, Willow. Poor little flower. Flutter is getting its distance reduced by 10% and her ult will be 25% slower. Again, another unneeded nerf. Let's take a non-viable character and make her worse without giving her anything. I love high res, I do, but this stuff is so silly. Ying is getting a nerf to her Dimensional Link. Post-fire will now be increased from 0.1 to 0.5 seconds, because Ying totally needed more nerfs. You know who doesn't need nerfs? Everyone's favorite flank that has the uptime of a tank, Zin. I think a part of me just died saying that. The first 2 swings of his Inferno Blade will have increased projectile speed from 240 to 300. His legendary Guillotine will now also grant damage immunity during Spite, not CC immunity though. Okay, so Zin is actually getting a nerf, thankfully. They're making him better offensively, so thankfully they are cutting down his survivability a bit by making Billow a 15-second cooldown instead of a 12-second cooldown. This is good. No more spamming damage and vulnerability over and over. Alright, so that's it. That was a lot, and so much of it was so pointless, but there was a lot of good, as well, so there's always that. Oh wait, a few more things before we go. They're doing another community skin, so use the link below to vote for the character you guys want. I know a lot of you are going to hop on the Grohk hype train, but keep in mind they already said he's getting a skin anyway, so it'd be best if you vote for somebody else. On top of that, this weekend is the Fright Nights event. Today, the 27th, you can get 3 Radiant boxes for your first 3 wins of the day. On the 28th, you get 45 crystals for your first 3 wins of the day. And the 29th is double VIP points. This is a really great event. Make the most of it. Okay, now that's it. Again, I'm sorry for being so inactive for OB61. I'm going to try not to repeat that for OB62, even though I like it less. I really don't want to get into the habit of not uploading again. That is a deep, dark pit I do not want to fall into. And that's pretty much it. I want to thank you all for watching. I very much appreciate it. And I'm going to see you guys later. Bye.
Dale, Manu.